The late afternoon sun sliced through the bay windows of my living room, painting everything in shades of burnt orange and gold. Beautiful, really. The kind of light photographers kill for. But I wasn't thinking about beauty. I was thinking about destruction. In my hands, a manila envelope. Standard size. Nothing special. But what was inside? That would blow a hole through someone's carefully constructed world. I let myself smile. Just a small one. The kind that doesn't reach your eyes. 3 weeks ago, I would have been crying. Hell, 3 weeks ago I was crying. But that was before I knew. Before I understood that the venom whispered in my ear at our family dinner was just another lie in a web of lies so elaborate, so perfectly crafted, that I almost fell for it. Almost. It was supposed to be a normal Friday night dinner. We did them every month. Richard and me, our son Tyler, and his wife Amber. Nothing fancy. Just pot roast, mashed potatoes, maybe a bottle of Pinot if we were feeling celebratory. That night Amber wore white. A tight little number that hugged every curve, showed off her flat stomach, her long legs. Her blonde hair fell in perfect waves over her shoulders like she'd just walked off a shampoo commercial. 28 years old and stunning in that way that makes other women hate themselves just a little. Tyler couldn't take his eyes off her. My sweet, brilliant, hopelessly naive son. Dinner went fine. Richard asked about Tyler's new project at Google. Something about cloud infrastructure. I tuned out after the second acronym. Tyler gets that from his father. Both of them can talk tech for hours. Amber laughed at all the right moments. Touched Tyler's arm. Played the perfect wife. I should have known then. Perfect is always a red flag. After dinner, Richard and Tyler went out to the back deck to look at the new pergola Richard had been building. Just the two of them, cigars and whiskey, talking about lumber grades and joinery like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. That's when Amber made her move. She helped me clear the plates, all smiles and, "Let me get that, Eleanor." We were standing at the sink side by side when she leaned in close. So close I could smell her perfume. Something expensive and cloying. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm carrying your husband's baby, Eleanor." I froze. The plate in my hand nearly slipped into the sudsy water. She kept going, her voice dripping with poisoned honey. "And there's nothing your tacky old money can do about it, you dried-up old bitch?" For a moment, just a flash, I saw it. The real Amber. Not the sweet daughter-in-law who volunteered at the animal shelter. Not the devoted wife who posted #blessedcouple photos on Instagram. I saw the predator. She pulled back, smiling that pageant queen smile, waiting for me to crumble, to scream, to cry. Instead, I turned off the faucet, dried my hands on the dish towel, looked her dead in the eye. "Congratulations, dear," her smile faltered, just for a second. "That's it?" She laughed, but it sounded forced. "You're not going to—" "Going to what?" I kept my voice level, pleasant even. "Make a scene? Ruin dinner? No, honey, I'm not going to do that." I picked up my wine glass and took a slow sip. "But I am curious about one thing." "What?" She was off balance now. I could see it. "Does Tyler know? About the baby?" "Not yet." She smiled again, more confident. "I wanted to tell Richard first. You know, give him a chance to process." Process. What a delicate word for emotional devastation. "How thoughtful," I said. She left 20 minutes later, claiming a headache. Tyler was disappointed, but she played it well, touching her temple, apologizing sweetly. He drove her home, worried and attentive. After they left, Richard found me in the kitchen, staring at nothing. "You okay, El?" I wanted to tell him. God, I wanted to scream it. "Your daughter-in-law just told me she's pregnant with your baby." But I didn't. Because something in my gut, 30 years of being a defense attorney, reading liars, spotting cons, something told me to wait. "I'm fine," I said. "Just tired." He kissed my forehead. "Let's go to bed." That night I didn't sleep. I lay there in the dark, listening to Richard snore softly beside me, and I thought about Amber's words. Your husband's baby. Richard was 69, still fit, still handsome, still very much capable of, well, but a baby? At his age? And Amber. She'd been so sure I'd fall apart, so confident in her little bomb, which meant she'd done this before, or something like it. By sunrise, I'd made my decision. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to confront. I wasn't going to play the scorned wife. I was going to investigate. Present day. Now 3 weeks later, I sat in my living room with that manila envelope, and I knew everything. Well, almost everything. The doorbell rang. Right on time. I opened the door to find Rebecca Torres standing there. Leather jacket, dark jeans, a messenger bag slung over one shoulder. She looked more like a grad student than a private investigator, which was exactly why she was so good at her job. "Mrs. Montgomery." She nodded. "Ellie, please." I stepped aside. "Come in." She followed me to the kitchen, declined my offer of coffee, and pulled out a tablet from her bag. "I've got everything you asked for," Rebecca said. "But I gotta warn you, some of this is rough." "Show me." She pulled up a video. Security footage from a coffee shop downtown. There was Amber, leaning across a table, kissing a man who definitely wasn't my son. The man was younger than Richard, maybe early 30s, muscular, tanned, landscaper's hands. "Who is he?" I asked. "Jake Sullivan. He runs a lawn care business, works for some of the wealthy neighborhoods around Portland." Rebecca swiped to another image. "They've been seeing each other for about 8 months. 8 months. Tyler and Amber had been married for 2 years. Jesus," I muttered. "It gets worse." Rebecca pulled up another file, audio this time. I listened. Amber's voice. "When are you telling him?" Jake. "Soon. Once I'm sure the old man will pay." Amber, laughing. "Richard's so fucking predictable. Wave a baby in his face, threaten his precious family, and he'll open his wallet like a good little ATM. I felt my jaw tighten. "There's more." Rebecca pulled up a bank statement. "Your husband has a secondary account at Bank of America. He's been withdrawing large sums, $87,000 over the last 6 months. 87,000. I repeated it slowly. "Where's it going?" "A trust. Hayes Medical Trust." Rebecca looked at me. "Hayes is Amber's maiden name." "Her mother," I said. "Dr. Patricia Hayes, oncologist." "You know her?" "I've met her a few times. At the wedding. Seemed nice enough." I frowned. "Why would Richard be paying into her medical trust?" "That," Rebecca said, "is the question." I stood up, walked to the window. Outside, the gardener was trimming the hedges. An older man, careful and methodical. Nothing like the young, predatory Jake Sullivan. "What about the baby?" I asked. "Is it real?" "Oh, it's real." Rebecca pulled up an ultrasound image. 12 weeks along. But what? She pulled up another document. Medical records. Richard had prostate surgery 4 years ago. According to his urologist, his sperm count is 0. He's sterile, Mrs. Montgomery. He can't father a child. The room tilted. I gripped the counter. "You're sure?" "I called the doctor myself. Pretended to be from the insurance company." Rebecca's voice was gentle. "I'm sorry. But I wasn't thinking about Richard cheating. I was thinking about something else entirely. If Richard couldn't father a child, then whose baby was Amber carrying? And why the hell was my husband paying $87,000 to keep quiet about it? People say you never really know someone until you marry them. I'd argue you don't really know them until you suspect them of betrayal. Richard and I met in 1982 at Harvard Law. I was 23, fresh-faced and idealistic, determined to become the next Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He was 25, tall and awkward, an architecture student who'd wandered into the wrong lecture hall and stayed because he thought I was beautiful. He told me that on our 3rd date. "I thought you were beautiful, and I wanted to hear you talk about constitutional law for an hour because you lit up when you talked." We got married the summer after graduation. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. My parents didn't approve. They'd wanted me to marry Bradley Hamilton, son of a Connecticut senator. But I chose Richard, with his gentle eyes and his dreams of building sustainable communities. We were broke for the first 5 years. Richard worked at a small firm designing affordable housing. I worked in the public defender's office, 70 hours a week, drowning in case files. But we were happy. Then Richard's firm took off, Montgomery and Partners. Green architecture before green was cool. By the time we were 40, we were millionaires. By 50, we had the Victorian house in Portland Heights, the investment portfolio, the vacation home in Cannon Beach. Everything we'd ever wanted, except more children. Tyler was born in 1990. A miracle, the doctor said. I'd had 3 miscarriages before him. After Tyler, we tried for years for another baby. More miscarriages. Then nothing. At 48, I finally accepted it. Tyler would be our only child. We poured everything into him. The best schools. Piano lessons. Soccer. Robotics club. MIT for college. He was brilliant, kind, a little shy. The kind of son who called his mother every Sunday and actually meant it when he asked how she was doing. When he brought Amber home 2 years ago, I wanted to like her. I really did. Tyler met her at a charity gala. Some Save the Oceans fundraiser where tech bros and trophy wives pretended to care about marine life while drinking $200 bottles of wine. Amber was volunteering. She wore a simple black dress, her hair pulled back, minimal makeup. Later, she told us she'd been Miss Oregon 3 years before, competed in Miss USA. Didn't win, but she'd gotten offers for modeling, acting, influencer deals. But I wanted to do something meaningful, she'd said, smiling that perfect smile. So I got my degree in marketing and started working with nonprofits. Richard loved her immediately. She's got a good head on her shoulders, he'd said. I was more cautious. Maybe it was the lawyer in me, but something felt rehearsed. The way she touched Tyler's arm at exactly the right moments. The way she laughed. Not too loud, not too soft. The way she asked me questions about my career, my hobbies, my favorite books. It was perfect. Too perfect. But I pushed the feeling down. I told myself I was being paranoid. Jealous, maybe, of this beautiful young woman who'd captured my son's heart. They got married 8 months later. I should have trusted my instincts. The first crack appeared 6 months ago. I was at Richard's office, dropping off lunch. He'd forgotten his wallet that morning, and I knew he had a client meeting at noon. His assistant was at lunch, so I let myself in. The office was empty. Papers everywhere. Blueprints, sketches, budget reports. Richard was always messy when he was deep in a project. I set the lunch bag on his desk and turned to leave. That's when I saw it. A folder half hidden under a stack of contractor bids. The label read, BOA, secondary account. I almost walked away. Almost. But 30 years of criminal defense work had trained me to notice anomalies. And a secondary bank account? That was definitely an anomaly. I opened the folder. Transaction records. Withdrawals. 5,000 here, 10,000 there. Always in cash or wire transfers. Over the past 3 months. $42,000. I took photos with my phone, put everything back exactly as I'd found it. That night I asked Richard about it casually over dinner. Hey, did you open a new account at Bank of America? He didn't look up from his pasta. Oh yeah, for the business. Tax stuff. Tax stuff? Quarterlies. Easier to keep it separate. He smiled at me. Don't worry about it, Elle. It's all above board. He was lying. I'd been married to this man for 43 years. I knew his tells. The way he scratched his ear when he was nervous. The way he wouldn't quite meet my eyes. Richard was lying to me, and I had no idea why. Then came the behavior changes. Richard started working late. 3-4 nights a week, he'd come home after 10 p.m., claiming the Riverside project was running behind. But when I called his office at 8 p.m. one Tuesday, his assistant said he'd left at 5. I checked our credit card statements. Charges at restaurants I'd never heard of. A florist. A jewelry store. My hands shook as I read through them. Was he having an affair? God. 69 years old and Richard was having a fucking affair? I confronted him on a Saturday morning. Carefully. I wasn't ready to blow everything up yet. Rich, are you okay? You seem distant lately. He was reading the paper, coffee in hand. Distant? No, just busy. The Riverside project. Is it just work? I pressed. Or is there something else? He finally looked at me, and what I saw in his face wasn't guilt. It was fear. Eleanor, he set down the paper. I promise you, everything is fine. There's a lot going on. I'll tell you about it soon. Okay? When? Soon. He kissed my forehead. Trust me. Trust me. How do you tell someone you don't trust them anymore without destroying 43 years of marriage? I didn't say anything. I just nodded. But I stopped sleeping well after that. Then Amber dropped her bomb. I'm carrying your husband's baby. And suddenly, everything made sense. The money, the late nights, the fear in Richard's eyes. He was being blackmailed. And Amber, sweet, perfect, charitable Amber, was the blackmailer. But why? And how? That's when I hired Rebecca Torres. Rebecca came highly recommended. A former cop who'd left the force after witnessing corruption she couldn't stomach. Now she ran a private investigation firm specializing in infidelity, fraud, and family law cases. I met her at a coffee shop in Northeast Portland, deliberately far from my usual haunts. "I need you to investigate my daughter-in-law," I'd said. Rebecca hadn't blinked. "Cheating? Maybe. Or blackmail. I'm not sure yet." "Tell me everything." So I did. The whispered confession, the bank accounts, Richard's behavior. Rebecca listened, took notes, didn't judge. "I'll need 3 weeks," she'd said. "Maybe 4, but I'll get you answers." "Whatever it takes," I'd replied. Now, 3 weeks later, she'd delivered. Amber was sleeping with Jake Sullivan. Richard was sterile. The baby wasn't his, but Richard was still paying. $87,000 and counting. Why? Rebecca Torres had a theory. "Blackmail only works if the target has something to lose," she explained, sitting across from me at my kitchen table. "Richard's not the father. He knows he's not the father, but he's paying anyway." "So what does he have to lose?" I asked. "That's what we need to find out." She pulled out a surveillance schedule. Times, dates, locations. "I've been following Amber for 2 weeks. She meets Jake twice a week at his apartment in Selwood. But there's something else." Rebecca pulled up another photo. Amber getting into an SUV with Jake. But they weren't alone. In the back seat, Tyler. My heart stopped. "When was this taken?" "Last Tuesday. They went to a warehouse in Southeast Portland." Rebecca's expression was grim. "Not a nice neighborhood." "What kind of warehouse?" "That's what I'm going to find out." She closed her tablet. "But I need your permission to dig deeper. This might get messy." "Do it," I said immediately. "Even if it involves Tyler?" I thought about my son. Sweet, brilliant Tyler, who still called me Mom without embarrassment, who brought me flowers on Mother's Day, who'd once cried watching Toy Story 3 and didn't care who saw. If he was in trouble, I needed to know, especially if it involves Tyler. Rebecca called me 2 days later. "We need to talk, in person." Her voice was tight, controlled. I met her at Laurelhurst Park, a public place, joggers and dog walkers everywhere, the kind of location where screaming would be inappropriate. I had a feeling I might want to scream. She handed me her tablet without preamble. "Tyler has a gambling problem." The words didn't register at first. "What?" "Your son owes money, a lot of money, to some very bad people." She showed me photos. Tyler entering a building in Southeast, the sign outside, Lucky Dragon Social Club. "It's a front," Rebecca explained. "Illegal gambling, poker, sports betting, loan sharking, run by a guy named Vincent Romano, local mob." "Mob?" I repeated stupidly. "Portland has a small but active organized crime presence. Romano controls most of the underground gambling. And Tyler?" She pulled up bank records. "Your son is in deep, $120,000 deep." I felt the park bench tilt beneath me. 120,000? He's been gambling for at least a year. Started small, poker games with coworkers, then online sports betting. Then he found Lucky Dragon. Rebecca's voice was gentle. "Romano doesn't mess around, Mrs. Montgomery. When people don't pay, they get hurt." "Does Amber know?" "Oh, she knows." Rebecca pulled up text messages. "Look at this. A text from Amber to Jake. The kid's got a gambling problem. Perfect leverage. Rich daddy will pay anything to keep his precious son safe." Jake's response, "How much can we get?" Amber, "At least $500K, maybe more." The phone in Rebecca's hand felt a million miles away. My daughter-in-law was blackmailing my husband over our son's gambling debts, and she was using a fake pregnancy to do it. "There's more," Rebecca said quietly. "How could there possibly be more?" She showed me the DNA test results. Paternity test results. Mother, Amber Hayes Montgomery. Child, fetus, 12 weeks. Alleged father, number 1, Jake Sullivan. Probability of paternity, 99.7%. Where did you get this? Jake ordered it. He wanted to make sure the baby was his before they ran their little scam. Rebecca leaned back. Amber doesn't know he has it. He's keeping it as insurance. I stared at the results. Amber was pregnant with Jake's baby. She was pretending it was Richard's. She was using Tyler's gambling debts to extort money from my husband. And Richard, my Richard, who I'd suspected of infidelity, of betrayal, was paying to protect our son. Something inside me broke, not in a crying way, in a cold, hard, crystalline way. "I need to talk to Jake," I said. Rebecca raised an eyebrow. "You sure that's a good idea?" "Set it up." We met at a Starbucks in Beaverton, neutral territory. Jake Sullivan was exactly as I'd imagined. Early 30s, good-looking in that rugged, manual labor way. Weathered hands, flannel shirt. He looked like he'd stepped out of a Carhartt catalog. When he saw me, his face went white. "Mrs. Montgomery." "Sit down, Jake." He sat. I slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside, photos of him and Amber, bank records, the DNA test. "I know everything," I said simply. His hands shook as he opened the envelope. I can explain. I don't want explanations. I want information." He looked up, surprised. I leaned forward. "You're going to tell me exactly how this scam works. Every detail. Who's involved, how much money you've already taken, and what you're planning next." "Why would I tell you anything?" I pulled out my phone. On the screen, a text message, drafted but not sent. "To Portland Police Department, Fraud Division. Attached. All evidence of extortion and blackmail." My thumb hovered over send. "Because if you don't, I'll destroy you. Not just legally. I'll make sure every landscaping company in Portland knows you're a con artist. I'll ruin your business, your reputation, your life." I smiled. "I was a defense attorney for 30 years, Jake. I know exactly how to dismantle a person within the bounds of the law." He stared at me. Then he started talking. Jake Sullivan wasn't a master criminal. He was a 32-year-old landscaper who'd fallen for the wrong woman and made a series of catastrophically bad decisions. It took him less than 5 minutes to crack. "It was Amber's idea," he said, voice low. "All of it. I swear to God I didn't. At first I didn't know what she was planning." "Start from the beginning," I said coldly. He took a breath, ran his hands through his hair. "We met about 8 months ago. I was doing the landscaping at her gym. She came on to me pretty hard. I knew she was married, but..." He trailed off, had the decency to look ashamed. "She said her husband was boring, that she'd made a mistake marrying him, that she needed excitement." Classic affair talk. I'd heard it 1,000 times in divorce depositions. "When did the blackmail start?" 3 months ago." Jake's hands were shaking. "She got pregnant. Told me right away. I panicked, obviously. Told her we needed to come clean, that I'd help her with the baby. We'd figure it out. But she had other plans." "Yeah." He laughed bitterly. "She said Tyler had a gambling problem, that he owed a shitload of money to some scary dudes, and that his dad, your husband, would pay anything to keep Tyler safe. So she decided to pretend the baby was Richard's." "Not at first." Jake looked up at me. "At first she wanted to shake down Tyler directly, but Tyler's broke. Maxed out credit cards, empty savings account. Everything goes to paying off his gambling debts bit by bit. So she went after Richard. She told Richard that she knew about Tyler's problem, that she had proof Tyler had been stealing from his company to cover the debts, which isn't even true, by the way. Tyler never stole anything, but Amber made it look like he did. Fake invoices, forged signatures, the whole deal. I felt sick. She threatened to go to the police unless Richard paid her off, but Richard said he needed time, needed to figure things out." Jake swallowed hard. "That's when Amber got creative. She told Richard she was pregnant with his baby." "Why would that matter if she was already blackmailing him?" "Because it gave her leverage over everyone. She told Richard that if he didn't pay, she'd tell Tyler the baby was his dad's. It would destroy Tyler. Destroy your marriage. Destroy the whole family." Jake's voice cracked. "And Richard? He's a good man, Mrs. Montgomery. He's trying to protect everyone." The Starbucks suddenly felt too hot, too crowded. "How much has he paid so far?" $87,000. But Amber wants $500 total. Then she says she'll disappear. Move to Arizona with me, raise the baby, leave you all alone." "And you believe her?" He looked away. "I did. For a while. But lately, I think she's going to bleed you dry. She likes the power too much." I sat back, processed it all. Richard knew the baby wasn't his. He knew Amber was a liar, but he was paying anyway because she had manufactured evidence that Tyler had committed corporate fraud, And she was threatening to destroy our son's life if Richard didn't comply. My husband wasn't a cheater. He was a father trying to save his child. I need the fake invoices, I said. Whatever evidence Amber created, can you get it? Jake nodded quickly. She keeps everything on a thumb drive. In her car, I can… Don't. I held up a hand. Just tell me where. I'll handle it. Mrs. Montgomery, I know I fucked up. I know I'm a piece of shit. But I never wanted… Save it. I stood up. You're going to do exactly what I tell you. Understand? Yes, ma'am. Keep seeing Amber. Act normal. Don't tell her we talked. If she suspects anything, this whole thing falls apart. Okay. I leaned down, voice deadly calm. And Jake, if you warn her, if you fuck this up in any way, I will make sure you spend the next 5 years in prison for extortion. Are we clear? Crystal. I left him sitting there, pale and trembling. I didn't go home right away. I drove to Laurelhurst Park and sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, trying to breathe. Richard was innocent. 43 years of marriage. 43 years of trust, partnership, love. And I'd spent the last 6 months thinking he was having an affair. I'd looked at him differently, spoken to him coldly, pulled away in bed. And the whole time he was protecting our son. The whole time he was being blackmailed by our daughter-in-law. The whole time he was carrying this burden alone because he didn't want to destroy me. I put my head on the steering wheel and cried. Not delicate tears, ugly, gut-wrenching sobs. For Richard, for Tyler, for the family that had been fractured by lies. After 10 minutes, I pulled myself together, wiped my face, reapplied lipstick. Then I drove home. Richard was in his study when I got back, blueprints spread across his desk, reading glasses perched on his nose. He looked up when I knocked. Hey, hun, how was your day? So casual, like he wasn't being extorted for 6 figures. Rich, we need to talk. Something in my tone made him stiffen. About what? I closed the door behind me, locked it. About Amber, about Tyler, about the $87,000. All the color drained from his face. Eleanor, I can explain. I know everything. I pulled out my phone, showed him the photos. Amber and Jake, the bank statements, the DNA results. I hired a private investigator. I know Amber's pregnant with Jake Sullivan's baby. I know she's blackmailing you. I know about Tyler's gambling debts. Richard stood up so fast his chair fell backward. You hired a PI? His voice was shaking. Eleanor, you shouldn't have. This is dangerous. If Amber finds out. Sit down, Rich. No, you don't understand. She has evidence that Tyler… Fake evidence, I interrupted. I know. Jake told me everything. You talked to Jake? Richard looked like he might pass out. Jesus Christ, Eleanor, what were you thinking? If he tells Amber, he won't. I moved closer, took his hands. They were trembling. Rich, look at me. He did. And I saw it all in his eyes. The fear, the exhaustion, the shame. Why didn't you tell me? I asked softly. Because… His voice broke. Because I didn't want you to look at me the way you're looking at me right now. How am I looking at you? Like I failed? Like I let our son become a degenerate gambler? Like I couldn't protect our family? Tears ran down his face. I'm 69 years old, Elle. I built a successful company. We have everything we ever wanted, and I couldn't even keep my own son from throwing his life away. This isn't your fault, isn't it? He pulled his hands away, started pacing. I was too focused on work, too busy building buildings to build a relationship with my kid. Tyler learned to hide things from me because I was never around to notice. Rich, and when Amber came to me with that ultrasound, said she was pregnant, said the baby was mine. He laughed bitterly. Part of me almost wished it was true. At least then I'd know Tyler was safe. At least then the problem would be mine to solve. So you paid her? Of course I paid her. What else could I do? She had those fake invoices. If she went to the police, Tyler would go to prison. His career, his life, everything would be over. Richard's voice rose. I'm his father. I'm supposed to protect him. By bankrupting us? We have money, Eleanor. We'll make more. But we only have one son. I stepped in front of him, forced him to stop pacing. You should have told me. I couldn't. Amber said if I told anyone, if I involved you, involved the police, involved anyone, she'd go public immediately. Tyler would be arrested. You'd be humiliated. Our family would be destroyed. He cupped my face with both hands. I'd rather you think I cheated than watch all of that happen. And there it was, the sacrifice. Richard had let me believe the worst about him, had endured my coldness, my suspicion, my distance, because he thought it would protect me. You stupid, noble, impossible man, I whispered. Then I kissed him. Not a polite peck, a real kiss, desperate and fierce and full of 43 years of love. When we finally pulled apart, he was crying again. I'm so sorry, Elle. I'm so fucking sorry. Stop apologizing. I wiped his tears. We're going to fix this. Together. How? Amber has all the leverage. If we push back, she ruins Tyler. I smiled. The same cold smile I'd given Amber 3 weeks ago. Rich, I was a defense attorney for 30 years. I've taken down CEOs, corrupt politicians, and mob bosses. You think I can't handle one entitled 28-year-old with a fake pregnancy and a landscaper boyfriend? What are you going to do? I'm going to destroy her. I pulled out my phone, called Rebecca. But first, we're going to get our son some help. Tyler lived in a modern condo in the Pearl District, all glass and steel and open floor plans. He'd bought it 3 years ago when Google gave him a promotion and a massive raise. Now I knew it was mortgaged to the hilt. Richard and I showed up unannounced on a Saturday morning. Tyler answered the door in sweatpants and a faded MIT t-shirt, looking confused. Mom? Dad? Is everything okay? Where's Amber? I asked. Spin class. She won't be back for another hour. He stepped aside. Come in. You want coffee or? Tyler, sit down. Something in my voice made him freeze. We went to the living room. Minimalist furniture, a huge TV, evidence of a comfortable life that was actually drowning in debt. Tyler sat on the couch. Richard and I took the chairs across from him. What's going on? Tyler asked nervously. I didn't ease into it, didn't soften the blow. We know about the gambling, Tyler. We know you owe $120,000 to Vincent Romano. The color drained from his face. How did you? We also know that Amber has been using your debt to blackmail your father. I pulled out the evidence. Photos, bank statements, text messages. She's pregnant with another man's baby, and she's been extorting money from us by threatening to frame you for corporate fraud. Tyler stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. No, that's... Amber wouldn't... His voice got smaller. She loves me. She's using you, son. Richard's voice was gentle but firm. Has been for months. Tyler stood up abruptly. This is bullshit. You hired a PI to spy on my wife? What the fuck, Mom? Watch your tone, I said sharply. Watch my... Are you serious right now? He started pacing, just like his father. Amber told me you've been acting weird, cold. She said you were jealous of her, that you couldn't stand seeing me happy. Tyler, she's sleeping with her landscaper. You're lying. I pulled up the video on my phone. Amber and Jake kissing in a parked car. Tyler watched it. Once, twice, 3 times. Then he sat back down, slowly, like his legs wouldn't hold him anymore. How long? He whispered. 8 months. And the baby? Jake's. The DNA test confirms it. Tyler put his head in his hands. His shoulders shook. Richard moved to sit beside him, put an arm around him. I'm sorry, son. I'm so sorry. I'm such an idiot, Tyler choked out. I'm such a fucking idiot. No, I said firmly. You're a gambling addict who fell in love with a con artist. Neither of those things makes you an idiot. They make you human. I ruined everything. You didn't ruin anything. Richard squeezed his shoulder. But we need to fix this, together, as a family. Tyler looked up, eyes red and swollen. How? I leaned forward. First, you're going to get help. Real help. There's a treatment center in Seattle that specializes in gambling addiction. You're going to check in on Monday. I can't just... Work, Amber, Google has a leave policy for medical treatment. We'll handle the paperwork. And Amber? I smiled. Amber is about to have much bigger problems than your absence. What are you going to do? We're going to give her exactly what she wants, I said. And then we're going to take everything away. Laurelhurst Park was nearly empty at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. The November chill had driven most people indoors, leaving only a few die-hard joggers and one old man feeding the ducks stale bread, despite the signs asking him not to. Maggie spotted Emily immediately. Her granddaughter sat hunched on their usual bench, the one they'd claimed as theirs since Emily was 6 years old, wearing an oversized hoodie and clutching her backpack like a life preserver. "Hey, sweetheart," Maggie said softly, sitting down beside her. Emily turned, and Maggie's heart broke. The girl's eyes were swollen from crying, her face blotchy and pale. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Grandma," Emily whispered, and then she was sobbing, throwing herself into Maggie's arms like she was 5 years old again. Maggie held her tight, rocking slightly, making soft shushing sounds. "It's okay, baby. It's okay. Whatever it is, we'll handle it together." "I'm so sorry," Emily choked out. "I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner. I should have done something, but I was scared." "Scared of what?" Emily pulled back, wiping her nose on her sleeve. She dug into her backpack and pulled out a folder, the cheap kind you get at Staples, stuffed with papers. God, this sounds so crazy. I've been spying on Mom for like 3 months. Maggie blinked. Spying? I heard her on the phone back in August. I was supposed to be asleep, but I came downstairs for water and I heard her in Grandpa's office. She was talking to someone. Not Dad. Some guy named Garrett. And she was saying all this stuff about how Grandpa was going to die soon, and how she was going to take the house and sell it and leave Dad. Emily's words tumbled out faster now, like a dam breaking. At first I thought maybe I heard wrong, like maybe she was talking about a TV show or something. But then I started paying attention, really paying attention. And I realized, Mom's a liar. She's been lying to all of us, about everything. She opened the folder. Inside were printed emails, text message screenshots, photographs of documents. "I got into her laptop," Emily said. "She uses the same password for everything. Emily 2009, my birth year, which is really dumb for someone planning crimes." A bitter laugh. "I've been screenshotting everything. Emails between her and Garrett, messages with that dentist guy who forged the will, bank statements showing how much debt she has, everything." Maggie leafed through the papers, her hands trembling. There were dozens of emails between Victoria and Garrett, planning their future together, talking about Maui, about the new life they'd build with Rob's inheritance money, about how the old lady, meaning Maggie, would be easy to push around. One email made Maggie's blood run cold. From Victoria Hastings Thompson to garrett.morrison.1985@gmail.com. Date September 23, 2024. Subject re-timeline. "Baby, I know you're getting impatient, but we're so close. Bill's doctor says he's got maybe 2 to 3 months left, tops. Once he's gone, I'll have the forged will in hand. Robert's already so twisted up about honoring his father's wishes that he'll do whatever I say. The house goes to him, we sell it within 30 days, and I'm filing for divorce the next day. I'll claim emotional abuse, easy to fake, get alimony, and take half of everything. You and me in Hawaii by New Year's. Promise. Emily? She's got her own life. She'll be fine. Kids are resilient. And honestly, she's always liked her dad better anyway. Let Robert have her. I'm done playing mommy. Love you. Can't wait to be free. V, that bitch," Maggie breathed. "Yeah." Emily's voice was small. "That's when I knew I had to do something. I couldn't let her do this to you, to Dad, to us. Does your father know about any of this?" "No. I tried to tell him once, back in October, but Mom walked in and I chickened out. And then Grandpa died and everything went crazy and I didn't know what to do." Emily looked at her grandmother with desperate eyes. "Did I do the right thing? Getting this stuff?" "Oh, sweetheart," Maggie pulled her close again. "You did exactly the right thing. You're incredibly brave. I don't feel brave. I feel like a snitch and scared. If Mom finds out, she's not going to hurt you. I won't let that happen." Maggie's voice was steel. "But Emily, I need you to do something for me. I need you to give this folder to a lawyer named James Mitchell. He's helping me fight back against your mom's plan. This evidence you've gathered, it's going to help put her away." Emily's eyes widened. "Put her away? Like jail?" "Your mother committed forgery. Fraud. She's planning to steal money that isn't hers. Yes, baby, she's going to jail." "Good," Emily said fiercely. Then softer. "Is that bad? That I think it's good?" "No, honey, it's not bad. It's human." Maggie squeezed her hand. Your mom made her choices. She chose money over family, over you. You don't owe her your loyalty." They sat in silence for a moment, watching the ducks paddle across the pond. Finally, Emily spoke again. "There's one more thing. In the folder. At the back." Maggie flipped to the last page. It was a printed divorce petition, already filled out, dated for December 15th. Victoria was planning to file 2 weeks after stealing the house. And there was a note clipped to it, in Victoria's handwriting. "Garrett, here's the draft. My lawyer says we should wait until the house sale goes through before filing. That way Robert can't claim any of the proceeds. Should be official by Christmas. Best gift ever. XOXO." She had it all planned out, Emily said bitterly. Every detail. She was going to destroy Dad and didn't even care. "But she didn't count on you," Maggie said. "Or your grandfather. Or me. And that's going to be her downfall." She stood up, helping Emily to her feet. "Come on, we've got work to do." "What kind of work?" "The kind where we fight back. Together." James Mitchell's office was crowded. Maggie and Emily sat on one side of the conference table. James and Detective John Morrison, a grizzled cop who looked like he'd seen every type of human scum and wasn't impressed by any of it, sat on the other. Between them, Emily's folder and Bill's USB drive lay like ammunition. "This is some impressive detective work, young lady," Morrison said, nodding at Emily. "You ever think about joining the force?" Emily managed a small smile. "I was thinking FBI, actually." "Even better." Morrison turned serious. "Here's what we've got. Forgery, conspiracy to commit grand larceny, wire fraud from the check-kiting scheme, and now, thanks to these emails, evidence of premeditation. Your mother—" He caught himself. "Sorry, kid. Victoria's looking at minimum 10 years federal time. Probably closer to 15 with all the charges combined." "What about Dad?" Emily asked. "He didn't know about any of this. He's not going to get in trouble, is he?" "No. From everything we've seen, your father's been manipulated. He's a victim here, same as you and your grandmother." Morrison leaned forward. "But we need to get him away from Victoria before we make our move. If she thinks he's turned against her, she might do something desperate. Maybe run, maybe worse." "So what's the plan?" Maggie asked. James cleared his throat. "We're thinking a controlled confrontation. Tomorrow evening. At your house, Maggie. We get Victoria and Robert there under the pretense of finalizing the property transfer. But instead of signing papers, you reveal everything. The trust documents, the videos, Emily's evidence, all of it. And I'll be there," Morrison added, "parked outside with backup. The moment Victoria incriminates herself, and trust me, people like her always do when they're cornered, we move in and make the arrest." "What about Rob?" Maggie pressed. "How's he going to react to finding out his wife's a cheater and a fraud?" "Honestly, he's going to be devastated," James said gently. "But better he finds out with you there to support him than alone, or worse, from the police after his wife's been arrested." Emily spoke up, her voice shaky but determined. "I want to be there. When you tell Dad, he needs to know I'm on his side, that I've always been on his side." "Absolutely not," Maggie said immediately. "It's going to get ugly, sweetheart. I don't want you anywhere near—" "Grandma, please!" Emily's eyes were fierce. "She's my mother. He's my father. This is my family falling apart. I need to be there. I need Dad to see that I chose him, that I chose us." Maggie looked at James, who shrugged. "It's not a bad idea. Emily's testimony carries weight, and seeing his daughter stand with you, it might help Robert process everything." "Fine," Maggie said finally. "But the second things get heated, you leave the room. Deal?" "Deal." Morrison stood up. "All right, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Mrs. Thompson, you'll call Victoria and Robert. Tell them you've decided to sign the transfer papers after all. Tell them you just want it over with. That'll get them there without suspicion." "And then we drop the bomb," James said. "And then we drop the bomb," Maggie echoed. As they filed out of the office, Emily hung back, tugging on Maggie's sleeve. "Grandma? Are you scared?" Maggie thought about it. Was she scared? Of Victoria's reaction? Of Rob's heartbreak? Of the confrontation itself? "No," she said, surprised to find it was true. "I'm not scared anymore. I'm angry, and I'm done being pushed around." Emily hugged her tight. "Grandpa would be proud of you." "Yeah," Maggie whispered into her granddaughter's hair. Yeah, I think he would be. The phone call to Victoria was easier than Maggie expected. Victoria? It's Maggie. I've decided you're right. I'm going to sign the transfer papers. I don't want to fight anymore. I just want this to be over. There was a pause on the other end. Then Victoria's voice, dripping with false sympathy. Oh, Maggie, I'm so glad you've come to your senses. This is really for the best, you know, for everyone. Can you and Robert come by tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock? I'd like to do this quickly. Rip the Band-Aid off, as they say. Of course, we'll be there. And Maggie, you're making the right choice, I promise. Once you're settled somewhere new, you'll see this was a blessing in disguise. Blessing in disguise. Maggie's grip on the phone tightened. I'm sure you're right. See you tomorrow. She hung up before Victoria could say anything else. That night, Maggie couldn't sleep. She walked through the house, touching things. The walls Bill had painted, the floor he'd refinished, the kitchen counter where they'd shared 10,000 cups of coffee. In the living room, she stopped in front of their wedding photo. She and Bill looked impossibly young, impossibly happy. Neither of them had known what was coming. The struggles, the triumphs, the 43 years of building a life together. I wish you were here, she whispered to the photo. I wish you could see this. See me fighting back. Is this what you wanted? When you told me to trust James? The house was silent, but Maggie could almost hear Bill's voice in her head. You've always been stronger than you knew, Maggie. Now show them. Show them what you're made of. Okay, she said softly. Okay, Bill, I will. Upstairs in the guest room where Emily was sleeping, Maggie's phone buzzed with a text from James. Everything's set. Morrison and his team will be in position by 6:45 p.m. We've got audio recording equipment, legal under Oregon law since it's your house. Whatever happens tomorrow, we'll have it documented. Get some rest. Tomorrow we end this. Maggie looked out the window at the Portland night sky. Somewhere out there, Victoria was probably sleeping peacefully, dreaming of Hawaiian beaches and stolen money. She had no idea what was coming. Sleep well, Victoria, Maggie thought. It's the last peaceful night you're going to have for a very long time. Tomorrow the truth would come out. Tomorrow justice would be served. Tomorrow Maggie Thompson would take back everything that was rightfully hers. And Victoria? Victoria was about to learn that you don't mess with a grieving widow who has nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. Rebecca Torres arrived at our house that evening with a laptop, 3 burner phones, and the intensity that reminded me why I'd hired her in the first place. Okay, she said, spreading documents across our dining room table. Let's talk strategy. Amber thinks she's got all the leverage. We're going to strip that away piece by piece until she's got nothing left. Richard poured coffee. Tyler sat hunched in a chair, still looking shell-shocked. I stood at the head of the table like I was back in court. What do we have on her so far? I asked. Rebecca pulled up a list on her laptop. Text messages between Amber and Jake discussing the extortion, video evidence of their affair, the DNA test proving Jake's the father, fake invoices she created to frame Tyler. She paused. But here's the problem. Most of this evidence was obtained through, let's call it creative means. A good lawyer could get half of it thrown out. So we need something airtight, I said. Exactly. We need Amber to incriminate herself on record, preferably in front of witnesses. Tyler looked up. The gender reveal party. We all turned to him. Amber's been planning this massive gender reveal party for next Saturday. She invited like 50 people. Family, friends, my coworkers. She wants to make it this huge announcement. He laughed bitterly. Guess she figured she'd lock down the lie in front of everyone. Rebecca's eyes lit up. That's perfect. A public venue, multiple witnesses. If we can get her to slip up there. She won't slip, I interrupted. Amber's too controlled, too careful. We need to rattle her first, make her scared. Desperate people make mistakes. How do we rattle her? Richard asked. I smiled. We follow the money. Rebecca, you said the payments went to Hayes Medical Trust. What do we know about it? Rebecca pulled up another file. It's a legitimate medical fund, set up 3 years ago, registered to Dr. Patricia Hayes, Amber's mother. She's an oncologist at Oregon Health and Science University. Highly respected. Specializes in pancreatic cancer treatment. Why would Richard's payments be going to a cancer research fund? Tyler asked. That's what I'm going to find out. I grabbed my coat. Rebecca, I need everything you can dig up on Dr. Hayes. Medical records, financial statements, anything. Mrs. Montgomery, patient records are protected by HIPAA. I can't just— Then get creative. I headed for the door. We have 6 days until that party. I want to know everything about Patricia Hayes by tomorrow morning. Dr. Patricia Hayes' office was in a gleaming medical building downtown. All white walls and soft lighting and motivational posters about hope and healing. I didn't have an appointment. I also didn't care. The receptionist tried to stop me. "Ma'am, Dr. Hayes is with a patient. Tell her Eleanor Montgomery is here. Tell her it's about her daughter." 5 minutes later, I was sitting in Patricia's private office. Dr. Patricia Hayes was 55, elegant, with silver-streaked hair pulled into a neat bun. She looked exhausted, the kind of bone-deep exhaustion that comes from carrying too much for too long. "Mrs. Montgomery," she didn't offer her hand. "I'm afraid I don't have much time. I have patients. Your daughter is blackmailing my family," I said bluntly. Patricia's composure cracked, just for a second. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." I placed a folder on her desk. "Amber told my husband she's pregnant with his child. She's threatening to destroy my son unless we pay her $500,000. The money's been going into Hayes Medical Trust, your trust." Patricia opened the folder with shaking hands. Her face went white as she looked through the evidence. "Oh, God," she whispered. "Oh, my God." "You didn't know?" "No, She sat down heavily. "The trust account. I gave Amber access 6 months ago. She said she wanted to help with fundraising, manage donations. I've been too sick to handle it myself, so I thought—" She looked up at me, tears in her eyes. "How much has she taken?" $87,000 so far." Patricia made a sound like she'd been punched. That's almost all of it." "All of what?" She turned her computer screen toward me. "The trust account balance, $3,247. I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer, Mrs. Montgomery. That fund was for my treatment. Experimental immunotherapy. It was my last chance." Her voice broke. Amber knew that. She knew I was dying. The room went cold. "When were you diagnosed?" 8 months ago. I told Amber the same day." Patricia wiped her eyes. She seemed devastated, supportive. "She moved back home for a month to help me through the first round of chemo. I thought she cared." "She was planning," I said quietly. 8 months ago is when she started the affair with Jake, when she got pregnant." Jesus Christ. Patricia put her head in her hands. "What kind of mother raises a monster?" "You didn't raise a monster. You raised a daughter with a personality disorder who made terrible choices." I leaned forward. "Dr. Hayes, I need your help. Not for me, for my son. For all the people Amber's going to hurt if we don't stop her." Patricia looked up. "What do you need?" Over the next 3 days, Patricia Hayes became our secret weapon. She gave us everything. Financial records showing Amber had systematically drained the medical fund. Email exchanges where Amber had promised to handle the fundraising while actually funneling money to her personal accounts. Text messages discussing investment opportunities that were just covers for moving Patricia's money. But the most damning evidence came from Patricia's phone recordings. "I started recording our conversations 2 months ago," Patricia admitted, sitting in our living room. "Amber kept asking about my life insurance policy, about my will, how much the house was worth. I thought she was just preparing. But listening back now," she played one of the recordings. Amber's voice. "Mom, have you thought about updating your will? I mean, you're not getting better. We should be realistic." Patricia. "Amber, I'm still here. I'm still fighting." Amber. I know. I just think you should make sure everything's in order. You'd want me taken care of, right? After everything I've sacrificed to help you?" Patricia. "Sacrificed?" Amber. "I gave up modeling opportunities. I got married to someone stable so I could be nearby. I put my whole life on hold for you." The callousness in Amber's voice made my skin crawl. "She's been planning this for a while," Rebecca said, taking notes. "The marriage to Tyler, the affair with Jake, the fake pregnancy, it's all part of a larger con." "But why?" Tyler asked. He'd been quiet through most of the meeting. "We weren't even that rich when we got married. My salary's good, but it's not—" He trailed off. Patricia looked at him sadly. "Tyler, I'm sorry. I don't think Amber ever loved you." I think she saw your family, successful, respected, wealthy, and she saw an opportunity. But she could have just divorced me, taken half my assets. Why do all this? Because divorce is slow and public. This way she gets cash, gets to disappear, and your family's too ashamed to press charges because it would expose Tyler's gambling and Richard's supposed affair. I shook my head. It's actually brilliant, in a completely psychotic way. There's something else, Patricia said quietly. Something I didn't tell you. We all looked at her. This isn't the first time Amber's done something like this. Rebecca pulled up a police report on her laptop. 3 years ago in Las Vegas, Amber was engaged to a man named Douglas Chen, 62 years old, widower, owned a chain of dry cleaners. She was 25. Let me guess, I said. She scammed him. $200,000. She convinced him she needed money for a business opportunity, a boutique clothing store. He liquidated part of his retirement fund. Then Amber disappeared, changed her name from Ashley Marie Brennan to Amber Hayes, moved to Oregon and reinvented herself. Tyler's face had gone ashen. She changed her name? Full legal name change. She even got a new driver's license, new social security number through identity theft. Rebecca pulled up comparison photos. Ashley Brennan, brunette, heavier. Amber Hayes, blonde, fitness model, same person. Why didn't Douglas press charges? Richard asked. He did, but Amber was gone. Changed her appearance, changed her identity. The investigation went cold. Rebecca looked at Patricia. Did you know about any of this? Patricia shook her head, tears streaming. No, she told me she'd been doing modeling in California, that she'd won a few pageants. I believed her. God, I'm such a fool. You're not a fool, I said firmly. You're a mother who wanted to believe the best about her daughter. That's not foolish. It's human. Tyler stood abruptly. I need some air. He walked out onto the back deck. Through the window, I watched him grip the railing, shoulders shaking. Richard started to go after him, but I stopped him. Give him a minute. He's breaking apart, Elle. I know, but he needs to break. He needs to feel this. Then he needs to get angry. I turned back to Patricia and Rebecca. Okay, we have evidence of prior fraud, financial crimes, extortion, identity theft. That's enough to put her away for years. But we need something more. More? Rebecca raised an eyebrow. We could arrest her right now. And she'd lawyer up, claim coercion, say Jake forced her into it, blame her mental health, her mother's illness, Tyler's gambling. She'd cry on the stand and half the jury would feel sorry for her. I shook my head. No, we need a confession, on record, in front of witnesses. We need her to show her true colors in public. The gender reveal party, Patricia said. Exactly, but we can't just ambush her. She'll deny everything, play the victim. We need to back her into a corner first, make her so desperate that she lashes out. How? Richard asked, coming back inside. I smiled. We make her think she's already won. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Over the next 3 days, Richard would continue to pay Amber. Small amounts, $5,000 here, $10,000 there. Enough to keep her complacent. Tyler would play the devoted husband, excited about the baby, planning nursery colors, talking about names, and I would play the defeated mother-in-law, withdrawn, quiet, broken. She needs to think she's destroyed you, Rebecca explained. That way she'll get cocky, overconfident. That's when people make mistakes. It was harder than I expected. Amber came over for dinner on Wednesday, wore a flowy maternity dress even though she was barely showing, touched her belly constantly, smiled that perfect smile. Eleanor, you've been so quiet lately, she said sweetly. Is everything okay? I forced myself to look tired, defeated. Just adjusting to everything. The baby, the changes. I know it's hard. Becoming a grandmother at your age. She reached across the table, patted my hand. But I promise, once the baby's here, you'll fall in love. You'll forget all about the complications. The urge to throw my wine in her face was overwhelming, but I smiled weakly instead. I'm sure you're right, dear. After dinner, I overheard her talking to Tyler in the kitchen. Your mom's finally accepting reality, Amber said. Good. I was worried she might cause problems. She's just hurt, Tyler said. His voice was flat, emotionless. He was playing his part well. Finding out about Dad and everything. Well, your dad made his choices, and now we're all dealing with the consequences. A pause. Speaking of which, did he transfer the money today? Yeah, 10,000. Good. We're almost there, baby. Just a few more weeks and we'll have enough to start our new life. I heard Tyler's sharp intake of breath, heard the pain in his silence. That night I found him sitting in his old bedroom upstairs, holding a photo from his college graduation. I really loved her, Mom, he said quietly. I know that's stupid. I know she never loved me. But I did. I sat beside him. It's not stupid. You saw the person you wanted her to be. That's not weakness. That's hope. Hope's for idiots. Hope is for humans. I put my arm around him. And humans survive. We adapt. We get stronger. And then we make sure the people who hurt us face consequences. He looked at me. The party's in 3 days. I know. What if this doesn't work? What if she talks her way out of it? She won't. I stood up. Because I'm not giving her the chance. Come on, we have work to do. Saturday morning, the day of the party. Amber had rented a venue at a boutique hotel in downtown Portland. Elegant, expensive, 50 confirmed guests. Everything coordinated in pink and blue. She'd posted about it on Instagram all week. #gender reveal, #baby Montgomery, #blessed. The comments were full of congratulations. Friends saying how excited they were, how beautiful she looked, how lucky the baby was. None of them knew. Rebecca had everything ready. Hidden cameras in the venue, recording devices, a backup plan if Amber tried to run. Patricia had flown in that morning. She looked frail, the cancer ravaging her body, but her eyes were sharp, determined. I'm ready, she told me. Whatever you need. Tyler was a wreck. He'd barely slept, but when I asked if he was sure he could do this, he nodded. I want to see her face when it all falls apart. Richard held my hand as we drove to the venue. Elle, if this goes wrong, it won't. But if it does, then we adapt. We survive. We try again. I squeezed his hand. Together. The venue was beautiful. Balloons everywhere. A huge cake with the words boy or girl. A table full of gifts. Amber stood in the center of it all, glowing. The perfect mother-to-be. When she saw us, she rushed over, hugged Tyler, kissed his cheek. Thank you for being here, she whispered, then louder for everyone to hear. I know things have been hard, but today we celebrate new beginnings. I smiled, played my part one last time. Of course, dear, wouldn't miss it. As guests arrived, I found Rebecca in the back room. Everything set? Cameras are rolling, Patricia's ready, Jake's outside. He agreed to come in when you give the signal. She looked at me. You sure about this? No, I straightened my shoulders. But I'm doing it anyway. At 6 p.m., Amber called everyone to gather around. Thank you all for coming, she announced, radiant. Today isn't just about revealing a gender. It's about celebrating family, love, new beginnings. She pulled Tyler close. He stood rigid beside her. Tyler and I are so blessed, and we wanted to share this moment with all of you, with our parents, our friends, everyone who supported us. The crowd clapped. Amber reached for the cake knife. So without further ado, actually, I said, stepping forward, before we cut the cake, I have something to share. Amber's smile froze. Eleanor, this isn't really the time. Oh, I think it's the perfect time. I pulled out a remote, clicked it. The large screen TV behind Amber flickered to life, and the real reveal began. The screen flickered to life behind Amber. First slide, Richard's medical records. Prostate surgery, 2021 postoperative diagnosis, azoospermia, 0 sperm count. Natural conception, impossible gasps rippled through the crowd. Amber spun around, face draining of color. What the hell, Eleanor, turn that off. Why? I kept my voice calm, pleasant even. I thought we were celebrating. Let's make sure everyone knows the whole truth. Click. Second slide. Photos of Amber and Jake. Kissing in his truck. Holding hands at a cafe. His hand on her stomach. A woman in the front row whispered, "Oh my God." Tyler stood perfectly still beside Amber, face blank. This is insane. Amber's voice rose. Those photos are fake. Photoshopped. Eleanor's been obsessed with me since I married Tyler. She's trying to destroy our marriage because she's jealous. Click. Third slide. Text messages. Amber to Jake. The old fool is paying. $500,000 and we're out of this shithole family. Jake to Amber. What about Tyler? Amber. He's too pathetic to leave me. I own him. The room went dead silent. Tyler's coworker, standing near the front, muttered, Jesus Christ. Amber whirled on me. You bitch! You hacked my phone! That's illegal! I'll sue you for everything. Sue me with what? I pulled out another document. The $87,000 you stole from your dying mother's cancer fund? Click. Fourth slide. Bank statements. Hayes Medical Trust. Withdrawals. Transfers to Amber's personal accounts. Dr. Patricia Hayes stood up from her seat in the back. The room parted as she walked toward her daughter. Patricia looked like death warmed over. Skeletal thin. Skin gray. But her eyes burned with fury. Mom! Amber's voice cracked. Mom, I can explain. You stole from my cancer treatment fund. Patricia's voice was steady. Surgical. I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer, 6 months to live. That money was for experimental therapy. My last chance. Amber's mouth opened. Closed. I was going to pay it back. With money you extorted from the Montgomerys? With money you scammed from that man in Las Vegas 3 years ago? Click. Fifth slide. Ashley Marie Brennan. Driver's license photo. Arrest warrant for fraud. That's not me, Amber screamed. It is, though. Rebecca Torres stepped forward, badge visible. I'm Detective Rebecca Torres, Portland PD Fraud Division. We pulled your fingerprints from your gym membership. Perfect match to Ashley Brennan. Wanted in Nevada for theft, identity fraud, and extortion. The crowd was no longer gasping. They were staring, some filming on their phones. Amber looked around wildly, cornered, desperate. Then she turned to Tyler. Tyler, baby, please. You know I love you. This is all a misunderstanding. Your mother is lying. She's always hated me, you know that? Tyler's laugh was cold, hollow. Stop. Tyler, I'm carrying our child. No, you're not. He pulled out a paper from his jacket. DNA test. Paternity probability for Jake Sullivan, 99.7%. For me, 0%. Click. Sixth slide. The DNA results. Official. Undeniable. Father, Jake Sullivan. Mother, Amber Hayes Montgomery. Fetus, 14 weeks. Amber's face transformed. The mask slipped completely. You fucking idiots, she snarled. You think you're so smart? You think you've won? She pointed at Tyler. Your son is a gambling addict who owes $100,000 to the mob. I did you a favor taking your money instead of letting Vinny Romano break his legs. Several people in the crowd pulled out their phones, recording. And you, she spun on Richard. You're a pathetic old man who was so desperate to protect your loser son that you let me walk all over you. You gave me that money. I didn't even have to try that hard. Amber, stop talking, Patricia begged. Please, honey, just stop. Shut up, Mom. You're dying anyway. What do you care what happens to me? Amber's voice was shrill now, unhinged. I deserve that money more than you did. You wasted your whole life on cancer patients who died anyway. At least I was going to use it for something real. The door opened. Jake Sullivan walked in, face pale, hands shaking. Jake! Amber's expression shifted. Relief. Baby, tell them. Tell them this is all a misunderstanding. I can't do this anymore. Jake's voice broke. Mrs. Montgomery, I'm turning myself in. I'll testify to everything. The blackmail, the fake invoices, all of it. You coward! Amber lunged at him. Rebecca grabbed her arm. Amber Hayes Montgomery, you're under arrest for extortion, fraud, identity theft, and embezzlement. Get your hands off me. Rebecca pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. I'm pregnant. You can't arrest a pregnant woman. Actually, we can. Rebecca snapped the cuffs on. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Tyler! Amber screamed, fighting against the restraints. Tyler, you love me. Don't let them do this. Tell them you love me. Tyler looked at her, really looked at her. I did love you, he said quietly. But you were never real. You were just a con, and I was the mark. He turned and walked away. Amber's screams echoed through the venue as Rebecca led her out. The crowd stood in shocked silence. Then slowly people began to leave, whispering, staring at their phones. The video was probably already going viral. Patricia approached me, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered, "for stopping her, for showing me who she really is." "I'm sorry," I said. "I know she's your daughter." "She stopped being my daughter the moment she stole from dying patients." Patricia wiped her eyes. "I'll testify. Whatever you need. She needs to face consequences." Richard put his arm around me. "It's over." "Not yet," I said, watching through the window as police cars pulled up. "But it will be." Tyler stood alone by the ruined cake, staring at the pink and blue frosting. I walked over to him. "You okay?" He didn't answer for a long moment. Then, "I will be." "Yeah," I said, putting my arm around him. "You will be." Outside, cameras flashed as Amber was loaded into a police car, still screaming. The perfect lie had finally shattered. And the truth, messy, painful, but real, was all that remained. The Multnomah County Courthouse was packed. Amber's trial had become a media sensation. "Portland's Black Widow," one headline screamed. "The Perfect Wife's Perfect Con," read another. TMZ had picked it up. Local news crews camped outside our house for weeks. The video from the gender reveal party had gone viral, 15 million views and counting. Tyler had checked into rehab the day after Amber's arrest. 60 days at a facility in Seattle specializing in gambling addiction. He'd come back quieter, thinner, but clearer somehow. "I needed to hit rock bottom," he told me during one of our visits. "Amber was just a symptom. The gambling was the disease." Now he sat in the courtroom gallery, flanking me and Richard. Dr. Patricia Hayes sat on my other side, a scarf covering her thinning hair. The chemo wasn't working. We all knew it. But Patricia insisted on being there. "I need to see this through," she'd said. "I need to watch her face consequences for once in her miserable life." Amber sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit, belly swollen to 6 months now. Her lawyer, a public defender who looked barely out of law school, shuffled papers nervously. The prosecution had an airtight case. Video evidence, text messages, bank records, testimony from Jake Sullivan, who'd taken a plea deal, testimony from Patricia, from Richard, from dozens of witnesses at the gender reveal party. But Amber's lawyer was going for the sympathy play. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," he began, "my client suffers from histrionic personality disorder, a severe mental illness that impairs judgment, causes attention-seeking behavior, and creates an inability to maintain healthy relationships." I rolled my eyes. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Jennifer Watts, stood up. "Your Honor, the defense would have you believe that Ms. Hayes Montgomery is a victim of her own brain chemistry, but the evidence shows a pattern of deliberate, calculated fraud spanning years. This isn't mental illness. This is criminal enterprise." The trial lasted 3 days. On day 2, they called me to the stand. Jennifer walked me through the timeline, the whispered confession, the investigation, the evidence gathering. Then Amber's lawyer cross-examined me. "Mrs. Montgomery, isn't it true that you hired a private investigator to illegally hack my client's phone?" "No. Rebecca Torres used legal means to obtain evidence, surveillance, public records, testimony from cooperating witnesses. You ambushed my client at a public event, humiliated her in front of 50 people. I presented evidence of her crimes in a venue she chose. If she felt humiliated, perhaps she shouldn't have committed fraud." The lawyer bristled. "Mrs. Montgomery, you're a former defense attorney. You know that entrapment? I know that your client extorted my family for nearly $100,000. I know she faked a pregnancy to manipulate my husband. I know she stole from her dying mother's cancer fund." I leaned forward. "And I know that sitting here, 6 months pregnant, playing the victim, doesn't change any of those facts." The jury was watching Amber now. Her face was blank, emotionless. That was her mistake. On day 3, Amber took the stand, against her lawyer's advice. "I need to tell my side," she'd insisted. Jennifer Watts smiled when she heard. "She's going to hang herself," and she did. "Ms. Hayes, why did you tell Richard Montgomery the baby was his?" Amber dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "I was confused, scared. I thought maybe it could be his. We'd been so close. He'd been helping me through my mother's illness." "You had sex with Richard Montgomery?" "Well, no, but..." So how could the baby possibly be his if Richard is medically sterile and you never had intercourse? Amber faltered. I was emotional. Pregnancy hormones. You told Eleanor Montgomery, and I quote, "I'm carrying your husband's baby, you dried up old bitch." Does that sound like hormonal confusion or deliberate cruelty? I was upset. You also texted Jake Sullivan saying the old fool is paying $500,000 and we're out. That doesn't sound confused. That sounds premeditated. Jake manipulated me. Jennifer pulled up Amber's texts on the screen. These are your words. Tyler's too pathetic to leave me. I own him. Did Jake write that? Silence. Did Jake force you to steal $87,000 from your mother's cancer treatment fund? My mother was dying anyway, the courtroom gasped. Even Amber's lawyer put his head in his hands. So you admit you stole the money because you believed your mother would die and therefore didn't deserve treatment? That's not... I didn't mean... Amber was unraveling. You're twisting my words. I'm reading your own texts, Ms. Hayes. Jennifer pulled up another message. Here's one to Jake. Mom's got 6 months tops. Then I inherit everything. House, life insurance, the works. Did Jake force you to write that? Amber's face went red. You're all against me. All of you. Tyler's family poisoned this whole city against me. Answer the question. Fine. Amber stood up, shaking. Yes, I wrote it. Yes, I took the money. Because I deserved it more than some cancer patients who were going to die anyway. My mother wasted her whole life on those people. And what did she get? Cancer. She was a fool. Patricia made a choking sound beside me. And Tyler? Amber was on a roll now. Tyler was a weak, pathetic gambling addict who couldn't even manage his own money. He needed me to take control. I was doing him a favor. And Richard Montgomery? Richard is a senile old man who I could manipulate with one smile. They were all so easy, so stupid. They deserved what I did to them. The jury stared. The judge stared. Even the bailiff looked shocked. Jennifer Watts smiled. No further questions, Your Honor. Amber's lawyer tried damage control, but it was too late. The jury deliberated for 45 minutes, guilty on all counts. Fraud, extortion, identity theft, embezzlement, theft. The judge scheduled sentencing for 2 weeks later. Amber got 8 years. No parole for the first 4. She screamed when the judge read the sentence. Screamed that it was unfair, that she was pregnant, that she had mental illness, that we'd all conspired against her. The bailiffs dragged her out, still screaming. In the hallway afterward, reporters swarmed us. Mrs. Montgomery, how do you feel about the verdict? Justice was served, I said simply. What about the baby? Amber's due in 3 months. The baby will be placed with Jake Sullivan pending a custody evaluation. He's entered rehab, gotten a steady job, and is working with social services. The child deserves better than what Amber can provide. Mr. Montgomery, any comments? Richard put his arm around me. We're just grateful this nightmare is over. But it wasn't over. Not quite yet. 6 months after the trial, Dr. Patricia Hayes was dying. The experimental treatment hadn't worked. The cancer had spread to her liver, her lungs, her brain. She had days left. Maybe hours. She'd asked to see me. I found her at Providence Medical Center, in a private hospice room. Morphine drip, heart monitor beeping slowly. Her skin was gray, her breathing shallow, but her eyes were alert. Eleanor? Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm here, Patricia. I pulled a chair close, took her hand. There's something I need to tell you. About your son. My heart stopped. Tyler? Is he okay? Did Amber? No, not Amber. Patricia's grip tightened. About Tyler. About where he came from. I don't understand. You adopted him 35 years ago. You and Richard. I stared at her. How did you know that? We'd never told Tyler. The adoption had been private, sealed records. Tyler thought he was our biological son. Because I arranged it? Patricia's eyes filled with tears. Eleanor, I was your fertility doctor. Don't you remember? I did. Vaguely. After my 3rd miscarriage, we'd consulted a specialist, a young oncologist who also did fertility work, Dr. Hayes. You helped us find a surrogate, I said slowly. No. Patricia's voice broke. I lied to you. There was no surrogate. What? Do you remember Richard's sister, Sarah? The name hit me like a punch. Sarah Montgomery, Richard's younger sister. She'd died of leukemia at 32, 2 years before Tyler was born. Sarah was my patient, Patricia whispered. When she was dying, she asked me to do something. She'd frozen her eggs years before, hoping for treatment advances. But the treatment never came. And Sarah knew she'd never have children. My hands were shaking. Before she died, Sarah begged me to find her eggs a home, to give them to someone who would love them, someone who wanted a child as desperately as she wanted to live. Patricia was crying now. You and Richard were trying so hard. I knew you'd lost 3 babies. I knew you were heartbroken. You used Sarah's eggs. I fertilized them with Richard's sperm, used a gestational carrier. Then I told you it was an anonymous donor. I falsified the records. Her voice was barely audible. Tyler is Richard's biological son, and Sarah's. The room spun. Tyler wasn't just our adopted son. He was Richard's actual child, his sister's child. Sarah lived on through him. Does Richard know? I managed to ask. No, no one knows. Just me. I've carried this secret for 35 years. Patricia squeezed my hand. I'm so sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing, giving Sarah the family she'd never have, giving you the baby you desperately wanted. But I lied. I violated medical ethics. I could have lost my license. Why are you telling me now? Because I'm dying, and I can't die with this secret. She looked at me with desperate eyes. Please, please don't hate me. I was young, idealistic. I thought love justified the lie. I sat there, stunned. Tyler was Sarah's son, Richard's nephew, his son, both. Sarah's laugh, Sarah's eyes, Sarah's kindness. It had always been there. We just thought it was coincidence, genetics working mysteriously. But it was real. Sarah had given us Tyler. Patricia, I leaned forward. Thank you. Her eyes widened. What? Thank you for giving us our son. Thank you for letting Sarah live on. Thank you for the greatest gift we've ever received. You're not angry? How could I be angry? You gave us Tyler. You gave Sarah a legacy. You gave Richard a piece of his sister back. I wiped my tears. DNA doesn't make a family. Love does. But knowing that Tyler carries Sarah's blood, that's a blessing. Patricia smiled, a real smile for the first time in months. Will you tell them? Yes, when the time is right. Tell Tyler. Tell him his Aunt Sarah would have loved him so much. I will. 2 hours later, Patricia Hayes passed away peacefully. Richard and Tyler arrived just as the sun was setting. And in that hospital room, surrounded by the smell of antiseptic and death, I told them the truth. Tyler was silent for a long time. Then, Aunt Sarah, I wish I'd known her. Richard was crying. You have her eyes, her smile. I always thought it was just coincidence. She's alive in you, I said. She always has been. Tyler looked at Richard. So I'm your son, actually biologically your son. You were always my son, Richard said fiercely. Always. From the moment I held you. DNA just confirms what I've always known. We held each other and cried. For Patricia, for Sarah, for all the secrets and lies that had finally been laid to rest, but also for the truth. The beautiful, complicated, messy truth. The Sarah Montgomery Foundation officially opened its doors on a sunny Saturday in April. A modern building in downtown Portland. Glass and steel, light everywhere. The mission: provide IVF assistance to families struggling with infertility, fund cancer research, support survivors. Tyler stood at the podium during the ribbon-cutting ceremony, looking healthy, strong, 3 years sober from gambling, engaged to a woman named Emma, a high school teacher with a kind smile and a wicked sense of humor. My Aunt Sarah died before I was born, Tyler said into the microphone. But she gave me life anyway, through science, through love, through the kindness of a doctor who saw 2 heartbroken people and decided to help. He looked at Richard and me. This foundation honors her, and everyone like her who didn't get enough time. The crowd applauded. Richard squeezed my hand. We'd renewed our vows on our 45th anniversary. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. 45 years, Richard had said during his toast. 43 of them perfect, 2 of them hell. but all of them worth it because I spent them with you. We'd weathered the storm, come out stronger. She was serving her sentence at Coffee Creek Correctional Facility, 2 years down, 6 to go. The baby, a boy, had been born healthy. Jake had gotten full custody. He'd moved to Eugene, started a landscaping business, was doing well. He sent us photos sometimes. The kid had Amber's blonde hair, Jake's eyes. Amber had tried to contact Tyler a few times. Letters, calls. He'd blocked her every time. I hope she gets help, he told me once. I hope she becomes a better person, but I don't need to be there to watch it happen. Healthy boundaries. His therapist would be proud. We'd established a scholarship in her name at OHSU, full ride for oncology students. Her house, the one Amber had tried to steal, we'd donated to a nonprofit that housed families of cancer patients. Patricia had died thinking she'd raised a monster, but she'd also saved countless lives, advanced cancer research, and given us Tyler. In the end, her legacy was love, not her daughter's cruelty. Our dining room table was full. Tyler and Emma, newly engaged, Richard and me, Rebecca Torres and her girlfriend, Jake and little Henry. Yes, we'd invited them. Forgiveness is complicated. Even a few of Tyler's colleagues from work. The turkey was perfect. The wine was flowing. Laughter filled the house. After dinner, Tyler stood up. I want to make a toast, he said. Everyone raised their glasses. 2 years ago, my life fell apart. I was a gambling addict married to a con artist. My parents were being blackmailed. I was drowning in debt and lies. He looked around the table. I thought I'd lost everything. Emma squeezed his hand. But I didn't lose everything. I lost the lies, the addiction, the fake life I was trying to live. He turned to Richard and me, and I found the truth. About myself, about my family, about where I came from. His voice cracked. I found out my Aunt Sarah gave me life, that my parents fought like hell to save me, that love is stronger than any con. I wiped my eyes. So here's to the truth. Even when it hurts, even when it's messy, even when it destroys everything you thought you knew. Tyler raised his glass higher, because on the other side of that destruction, there's real life, real love, real family. To the truth, everyone echoed. We drank. And in that moment, surrounded by people who'd walked through fire with us, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace.